If you're using background checks or background information for any purpose in your business, be aware of the risks and damages that might occur from using this information. Let me tell you a couple examples. First is a background check, depending on how it's done, may not exclude all the records that might not affect the subject you're interested in. A good example is somebody with a similar name. If there's a John Smith who has an arrest record, you want to make sure it's the same John Smith that you're looking at. In many cases, how that record is connected, if it's used in a database, is if there was any crossover of an address or any crossover of a zip code. So if a John Smith lived on the same street as another one, their arrest records might be connected if you're only using a cheap, quick database search. Another example are arrest records. An arrest record can contribute a criminal record to a subject's background. However, if that arrest doesn't result in a prosecution, then that doesn't have any effect on the person's background that you might want to consider. There are also expunged records. If a record of a conviction or some other criminal record is on a case file and then later expunged, you want to make sure that your source also has that expungement reflected in its record. Sometimes the third-party databases don't go after expunged records at a later date. If a case is withdrawn, it can also have a similar effect. If a case is filed against a subject and later withdrawn, that withdrawal sometimes doesn't automatically make it to databases. There's also the opposite damage possibility is missed records. If the search doesn't catch every criminal record, you may hire or rent to or do business with somebody who has a serious criminal problem that you're not aware of. The reason that this happens is criminal records are not a national database. They're all held at the county level, state level, or even town level wherever an arrest or conviction took place. So for example, if John Smith was arrested and convicted in Cook County, Illinois, you'd have to get those records from Cook County. Now these third-party database aggregators will attempt to collect all the records from the different counties, but not every database spends the money to get records from every county. So you may miss something if they didn't get that county. The only way to get everything for a subject is have an expert investigation done manually. What that investigator will do is attempt to connect with all of the locations where that subject has any previous history, residence, business, employment, even things like magazine subscriptions at an address will connect them to that area. And then they'll physically pull all the records, arrest records, conviction records from all the jurisdictions in that area. So before you use a background check or criminal records for any type of important purpose, make sure you understand the source of those records and how they may have too many pieces of information or too little before you make that important decision.